Members, our last bill of the day, House File 179. Representative Hanson J. I will move that House File 179 be recommended to be placed on the general register. Members, this is another cleanup bill that we basically had agreement on at the end of the last biennium, but didn't actually get it to the governor's desk. So Representative Hanson, please tell us about your bill.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members of the committee. I'm really glad to be back in front of you with this bill. I am here alone today because the lack of virtual testifying options has limited the ability for my testifiers to be here. So if you'd like to review last year's hearing, it was on March 8th of 2022 in this committee, so I'd encourage you to go and look at that video to hear firsthand from people affected by this. This bill seeks to allow post-divorce surname changes to be handled similarly to how they're handled when they're done in conjunction with divorce proceedings. Since it's customary in our country for women to change our names upon marriage, women are disproportionately impacted by the current post-divorce name change requirements. Though, as we know, as Chair Becker-Finn shared with us, this impacts any person who changes their name after divorce, and so this is a broad issue for many people. Names are important to the human sense of identity. Changing your name can shift your entire identity as well. And it's my hope that this will help more women and people revert to their surnames from pre-marriage following a divorce should they choose to do so. We know divorce can be a painful and difficult experience. Nobody gets married looking forward to divorce. And there's often a desire to hurry up and get it over with, and maybe a sense of urgency to begin separate lives sooner than later. And with nearly 1 in 4 marriages ending because of domestic violence, expeditiously finalizing a divorce can also be a matter of safety for many people. Some divorcees choose to change their name at the time of divorce. However, for a variety of reasons, this is not the case for everyone. And for those who choose to wait, changing their surname post-divorce requires a court fee and proof of identity from 2 witnesses, which is not required if you do this during the post-divorce process. So this bill seeks to provide a more streamlined process for divorcees seeking to change their name and revert to the name that they had before the marriage was dissolved, with a copy of the dissolution order and a birth certificate, and without the need for a national background check. We do have some questions about addressing line 2.19 and 2.20, which says in the state to continue to address marriages that occurred out of state, so I am open to that. And then we're also open to reviewing line, I think it's 3.2, about the implementation of a gross misdemeanor, though we do want to make sure that there's protections for potential fraud or of the courts. And so with that, I'll see if there's any other questions. But I want to just again remind folks that last year our testifiers were folks from domestic violence prevention programs and women's advocates, as well as the daughter of a woman who struggled to change her name 20 plus years after divorce. And this stayed a part of her identity and was something that she really wanted to get rid of, but it was a big challenge for her. This woman who shared her testimony for her mother lives right in my city, and so I'm really happy to bring this bill to you because this is what it looks like to listen on the doors and bring this work to the legislature.
All right. And as you noted, you weren't able to bring any of your testifiers with you today. But thank you for giving us that date. It's much easier to find things when we refer to those. We'll ask if there's anyone from the public wishing to testify on this bill. All right, not seeing anyone, we will go to member discussion. Representative Feist.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I can step into that role of sharing personal experience and how this bill would impact people. I was married briefly for about 1.5 years when I was very young and changed my name, and it was very bad, traumatic marriage. When we got divorced, the idea of going through that process, incurring those fees, changing my name back just was overwhelming to me. So I lived with my ex-husband's name for about 6 years before I remarried, and it was just awful to see his name on all my documents. I got married right when I graduated from law school, and I made sure that my diploma and my license were all in my new married name just because I wanted to leave that name behind. So this is just so practical, such an elegant, important solution to a really very real problem that people struggle with. So thank you for bringing it.
All right, thank you, Representative Feist. Representative Niska.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Hanson. This makes a lot of sense to me, and I just really have a practical question, and I just wanted to double check. It seems like the language contemplates getting a divorce in one district court and potentially having this proceeding in another district court. I just wanted to know, and I haven't watched the previous hearing on this. I was curious if we have any perspective from the judicial branch about whether that creates any workability problems at all, or if that's something that's simple for them to administer. I'm just curious about that. Thank you.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the question, Representative. These are district court documents, and so I am not a lawyer, so let me just preface that. You all here have much more experience than I do in this realm, but it is my understanding that one document from one district court in Minnesota is acceptable in another district court in Minnesota. I see a couple lawyers nodding their heads here, and so I can defer to you if there's other feedback from other people, but as far as I know, within the state, and that's why I brought up that if the line about in the state, if there's out-of-state marriages, if we need to change that, I'm open to doing that as well.
Well, and Representative Hansen, we're sending this to General Register, so
Yes.
if you want to change that.
Yes. I was just waiting for feedback. If anybody else wanted me to, I did not plan to, but should anybody come
Got it.
forward, I'm open to that.
Got it.
Yes.
Follow-up, Representative Niskaur.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, that makes sense to me. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't some administrative issue that I am not thinking of right now, but it does make, yes, it makes sense to me that the district court, Candy-Ojai County District Court is going to recognize a divorce decree issued in Hennepin County or something like that. But just was curious if that had been at all raised in the past. But
Yeah,
this bill seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah, and part of the issue too is that like when you change your name as part of the divorce decree, it's just included in that document, and so there's no extra fee or anything like that. And part of the issue is that if just a little bit more time has gone on, now all of a sudden it's administratively and financially really difficult for folks. But I know nothing came up last year when we discussed this as far as it being unworkable in any way.
Thank you.
Next on the list, I have Representative Finke.
Thank you, Chair Becker-Finn and Representative Hanson for this bill. And I just wanted to ask a question. This is an expedition and a simplification to return your name to your name on your birth certificate. And I'm just wondering if there was any consideration given to not having to change your name to the name on your birth certificate. There are many reasons one might not want to have that name either.
Representative Hansen.
Sure. Thank you for the question. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative Finke. That is certainly something that I think is important that we continue to talk about. We know that people feel more empowered when their name matches their identity. That's not part of this bill, but I would support conversations around that on another initiative.
Any follow-up, Representative Finke?
Just to say that a divorce decree is an opportunity for many trans people to authentically live their life, and I would like to explore the idea that we could find that way into this kind of work in the future.
Thank you. Any further discussion to the bill? All right. Closing comments, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members, for letting me come back solo to present this bill. And again, if you'd like to hear that hearing, it was on March 8th, and I'd encourage you to listen to the voices. And thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. With that, I renew my motion that House File 179 be recommended to be placed on the General Register. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion prevails, and the bill is on its way to the General Register. Thank you, Representative Hansen. And please extend our thanks to your testifiers. We'll go back and watch.